What if the most important figure in early Christianity wasn't Peter, but a woman? What if her gospel, a text lost to the official story for 1,600 years, reveals a side of Jesus' teachings we were never supposed to see? This is the story of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, and it has the power to change everything you thought you knew about the birth of a faith. Hello, and welcome to the channel. History is a story told by the victors, and in the story of early Christianity, this meant that countless voices, other perspectives were lost to the shadows. For centuries, we've been given a narrative of apostles and church fathers, a faith built exclusively by men. But buried for millennia in the sands of Egypt, a single ancient book survived, holding a profoundly different account, a story that places a woman at the very heart of Jesus' inner circle as his most enlightened apostle. Our story doesn't begin in the ancient world, but in the dust and noise of a Cairo antique market in 1896. There, a German scholar named Dr. Karl Reinhardt purchased an ancient papyrus book, a codex, having no idea he was holding a theological time bomb. This book, now called the Berlin Codex, contained several forgotten texts, but one was unlike any other, a gospel bearing the name of Mary. For decades, the book's secrets remained locked away, untranslated through the chaos of 2 world wars. It wasn't until 1955 that its contents were finally published, revealing a Christian world far more diverse and divided than most had ever dreamed. Later, 2 more small fragments of the same gospel, written in the original Greek, were discovered at a dig in Oxyrhynchus, Egypt. Finding 3 separate ancient copies of a text outside the official canon is incredibly rare. It suggests this gospel wasn't some isolated footnote, but was known and read among early Christian communities. But this book, likely written in the 2nd century, is a ghost. It's missing its first 6 pages and 4 more from the middle. It opens mid-conversation, dropping us into a room with the resurrected Jesus and his disciples. And what survives is a haunting glimpse into a kind of Christianity that was deliberately forgotten. So what makes this gospel so dangerous to the traditional narrative? It's not just that it's named for a woman. It's what she reveals. The scene opens after Jesus has departed. The apostles are grieving, terrified, and lost. They weep, asking, if they did not spare him, how will they spare us? It isn't Peter who rallies them. It is Mary. She stands, comforts them, and turns their hearts toward the good, reminding them of Christ's presence. This is when Peter turns to her and says, "Sister, we know that the Savior loved you more than the rest of women. Tell us the words of the Savior which you remember, which you know, but we do not, nor have we heard them." What Mary shares isn't a sermon for the masses. It's a private vision, a secret teaching given to her alone about the soul's journey after death. In her vision, Jesus explains that sin isn't an external act to be punished, but an inner imbalance, a form of spiritual ignorance. There is no hellfire, only inner transformation. The soul, he teaches, must ascend past the spiritual forces of desire, ignorance, and wrath that seek to chain it to the material world. This is a radical departure from the teachings that would later define orthodoxy. It's a path to salvation through gnosis, through intimate, personal knowledge and spiritual insight, not simply faith in a creed. Mary is presented as the master of this inner path. Her understanding is complete, her faith is unshakable, and she has no fear. She is, in every sense, the enlightened apostle. The moment Mary finishes speaking, the peace shatters. The apostle Andrew objects first, his doubt echoing through the room. "For I do not believe that the Savior said this," he declares, "for certainly these teachings are strange ideas." Then the tension explodes. Peter, the man tradition calls the rock of the church, confronts her. His challenge is personal, and it reveals the deep fractures in the early Christian movement. The text has him ask with cutting disbelief, did he really speak with a woman without our knowledge and not openly? Are we to turn about and not listen to her? Did he prefer her to us? In that instant, two possible futures for Christianity collide. Peter represents the emerging institution, a church built on public witness, hierarchical authority, and male-only leadership. Mary represents something else entirely, a faith rooted in personal, mystical experience, where spiritual authority is open to anyone, regardless of gender. The scene is heartbreaking. The text says that Mary began to weep. She asks him, "My brother Peter, what do you think? Do you think that I thought this up myself in my heart, or that I am lying about the Savior?" Before Peter can answer, another disciple, Levi, intervenes. He turns to Peter and rebukes him, saying, "Peter, you have always been hot-tempered. Now I see you contending against the woman like the adversaries. But if the Savior made her worthy, who are you indeed to reject her? Surely the Savior knows her very well. That is why he loved her more than us." His defense is a stunning affirmation of Mary's status. With that, the conflict subsides. He tells the others to be ashamed and to go out and preach. But the scene remains a stark record of the battle for the soul of Christianity. The question is, if this gospel was circulating in the 2nd century, why did it vanish? Why did the version of the story that crowned Peter as the undisputed leader ultimately win? The conflict in the Gospel of Mary wasn't just a literary scene. It reflected a very real power struggle in the early church. The 2nd century was a time of tremendous diversity. There wasn't one Christianity, but dozens of communities with competing ideas about Jesus. Texts like the Gospel of Mary, the Gospel of Thomas, and others reveal a world where private revelation was cherished and women often served as spiritual leaders. But as the faith grew, a powerful movement for uniformity began. Influential church leaders like Irenaeus of Lyon started to condemn teachings they saw as heresy, especially those that valued personal gnosis over institutional doctrine. They sought to establish a single creed and a clear line of authority passed down from the male apostles. A gospel that showed a woman as Jesus's most trusted confidant and as a direct rival to Peter was a threat to the patriarchal structure they were building. The disappearance of the Gospel of Mary wasn't necessarily a conspiracy to hide one book, but the consequence of this larger shift. To forge a faith that could span an empire, a model represented by Peter Public, male-led and organized, was far better suited for this than the mystical, individualistic, and gender-inclusive vision represented by Mary. Over the centuries, the Petrine model triumphed. The New Testament canon was solidified, and dozens of other gospels were left behind, lost to time. Mary Magdalene's own legacy was slowly rewritten. Her vital role as an apostle was diminished, and through homilies and tradition, she was gradually conflated with unnamed sinful women from the Gospels, remade into a repentant prostitute, a powerful but inaccurate image that effectively erased her authority for over 1,000 years. But in the 20th century, the discovery of the Gospel of Mary gave her a voice again, offering us a glimpse into a world where the path to enlightenment was walked not just by Peter, but by Mary too. Her story challenges us to confront the stories we've been told and to recognize the richness and diversity of the early Christian movement. It reminds us that sometimes the most revolutionary truths are the ones someone tried to hide. Thank you for watching. What surprised you the most about this hidden version of the Christian story? Share your thoughts in the comments below.